Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. So as promised in yesterday's video, this is going to be an example of when my own opener kind of has a couple struggles. I'm playing as Red Dragon's Coalition, and I think I'm leaning a bit too heavily on some mechanized forces at the very beginning. So of course I love Hwaseng Chung transports, but they are mechanized, and their Iglas don't make up for that lack of speed. BTR-60 Ps are kind of fast. 150 kilometers on-road is about as good as you can ask for, but well, you'll see. So also MI-8T immediately going up to Boris, and that'll be interesting. We start off losing a yak, which was just a sign of things to come. So it should be noted, our opponents include a captain, Artemis, who is trying a new deck, but is still a captain nonetheless, and is very, very good, very, very skilled. I am, of course, teaming up once more with Grim Reaper, and I hate Helos. Grim is taking Dimitri, and Helos is going to be headed over toward Feder. So my concentration is going to be Boris, and right away when I see these Ruakot 105s moving up, I know I'm in for some shit. So triple stack of Ruakot 105s, of course 50-point wheeled tanks basically, 17 AP power, 120 km per hour off-road speed, faster than my infantry transports by a mile, and my command infantry is just going to get chucked into the town behind here, as I'm not even going to be able to make it up all the way before I start to get fired upon. Ruakots firing those main guns, killing a couple of my scout vehicles right off the bat, and I'm trying to get some counterfire here. I do have a WZ-550 retreating him to get him out of main gun range and shooting, but not quite far enough. And these ATGMs ordinarily would crush into Ruakots and just deny them that entire push, but a little too close, and there goes an 80 points vehicle. My other infantry moving up too slow to get anything else done. ZTQ a little, once again, too slow, and just a huge push from from Fierce Tomato, I guess. So I guess it wasn't the captain fellow, it was the corporal here, Fierce Tomato, the Dutch player. And yeah, I mean, his buff will be V's too far forward, and I am able to get some good shots in on his infantry in these towns, but I'm entirely denied Boris completely. And all he has to do is, while this is going on, secure the back end of it, and then cap it, and that's going to be a really hard thing for me to counter. In the center, an M84A ends, sparring with the HA Abrams, and should be able to get the kill there, so very nice work from Grim, and this is at least going somewhat better. Meanwhile, Helos with a bit of an odd push here, just securing the woods, but I think maybe a couple of things have been pushed into the town and died. But PH2 Tiger from Artemis is going to be denying that forward push a little bit more, and Grim and I, so Grim often sort of makes up for my shortcomings, so many thanks to him and to Helos as well, because this was probably, I'd say, the game where I performed the worst of anything that I can remember in recent history, and that's just because, yeah, my opener was not well prepared. So my Bochung Su getting shot in the middle of the open field because my Hwaseng Chungs let them out in the middle of the open field in response to this whole position getting rushed, and yeah, we're getting a couple nice shots on the Buffaloes. We might be able to kill this Inflict team, but it's not going to be for free, and taking down the Panthers is nice. Hwaseng Chung's, of course, unexpected anti-air is always a good thing, and you can see the other Panther is moving back. And Artemis is now supporting on this side. He was really mobile in his support, and I think that was a big contributing factor to our opponents, well, to their potency this game. So B5 Bomber coming in, and we do get a kill on some Buffaloes. The Inflict also very nearly killed. And that was my bomber. I'm pretty happy about that bombing run. It probably could have been a bit more centered, but I wanted to avoid friendly fire. And the Hwaseng Chung moving up into these woods are not going to be able to reasonably deal with the Ruakots. Neither are a damage group of Lu Jiandui, and I mean, look at this. That is so many points in tanks there. And my Helo Hunter does get on the way and has been denying a couple of paratroopers and other things in this section, but it's a little too late and just not enough of an impact, as this alone tells me that, yeah, the other team has moved some things through. If we take a look at the neutral perspective, there's SASF over here in Oryxes that I wasn't able to stop. These guys, of course, carry anti-air, and I mean, this is what I'm talking about. There's not a lot left, right? So we did fight back kind of okay, but I have very little left from my initial deployment. I have Lee Ren and command infantry and a BRDM-2. Well, okay, we have an MI-1 and a plane. I got flattened, man. This was rough. And the rest of the game is going to be spent trying to make up for that, trying to come back from that sort of just immediate pancaking. I'm not going to give up, but it's going to be rough. Ruakats are retreating, and we have kind of denied our opponents that complete foothold on the far side. MiG-29 coming in again and taking down a Tiger is very nice, but chased by a Rafale and taken down by a Rafale, so that Helo Hunter is unfortunately taken out. I mean, just French Rafales, man, they're ridiculous. If we take a look over on this side as well, just neutral perspective just to see, Helos is doing pretty well. There's, I don't know, sparring over these far woods has worked out well and poorly for me in the past, so I can see why maybe that would want to be avoided, but unfortunately not engaging in it on this side will allow a blue 4 player, well, the other side of the map player, the one from that side, to encroach around and attack through. And that can often be really deadly, but anyway, another B5 bomber coming in, and this was actually, you know what, let's keep this at neutral just for this bombing run. I think he was targeted at the woods, yeah. And I thought the Ruakats would still be in there. This was a complete waste of a bombing run, though, attacking an empty position just out of desperation. And I really shouldn't have bought the bomber at all, because a bit more boots on the ground would have been, I think, a better use of my time, and that is what I'm saving up for now, so we will have more reinforcements headed that way. First a T-90S, and this was just, it was in response to the Ruakats. So T-90S can defend against Ruakats all day and twice on Sundays, but I'm not sure if it's the best choice against an opponent who's proven superior tactically, because if not properly microed, that T-90S will last about as long as a Charioteer. So Helos is making an interesting choice, calling up a Buratino, and this town, this is worrisome. So our opponents are now at a +1 ticking, up to 21 points. Boris has not yet been capped, but as soon as it is, they'll be at a +2, and we have really very little of a toehold in either one. More pressure being put on the Lee Ren, and Grimm's M84A is the only thing saving this position, as I am trying to get my command infantry up just to, I don't know, I was thinking project some sort of strength. We're going to speed this up a little bit because there's not a ton going on. So many things died that there's really not that much left to fight, but M84A is going to be securing the woods, getting some fire on the east of Rook as well, but that's a 15-point AA piece, not really all that impactful, and it is drawing some counter fire, so the M84 has to be careful. There was an MLU, I believe, back there as well, just really briefly. But we have Cap Boris. That is at least denying our opponents some sort of ticking points for right now, and remember this too, because the way this game ends, you guys will not believe. So if you want to skip ahead to it, or if you just want to hang around and make it that far, it gets kind of crazy. But Peace Rhine is going to be making this position challenging, and we can bring out superior tanks, but if we can't keep them alive, Ruakats are going to be all our opponents need. Also some infantry reinforcements coming up from Grimm and my own, and these guys are who I should have started with. Tenka Shashao and WZs, really fast on the ground, decent range off the recoilless rifles there, and it would have been much better. And you can see how much Grimm is having to invest away from the center. It's denying him the ability to put pressure on Anna, which is a really valuable zone, and that's all just to keep me alive here. So inflict teams, and this is where South Africa does struggle with longevity, right? So they have that really nice first push, but it's a little bit difficult once that's done to really get more and more on the way. And finally, some of my own reinforcements are coming up. We do have, of course, an ATGM team coming up as well, just to deny that future push or any expected future pushes there. We do get the Peace Pheasant, Peace Rhine, rather, not Peace Pheasant. And I think, I said we, it looks like it was Grimm's Strop too, and my infantry are starting to arrive, so that looks pretty nice. And the T-90S is just back far enough to avoid getting completely wrecked. SAF sniper team identified by Specialny and are going to be killed by the Specialny and the WZs. I was also trying to move some infantry up into the woods. I didn't even realize this was happening at the time. I wanted them up in here, but my WZs and the Tenka Shashao in them just get wrecked by enemy positions. You can see the dead transports, one here and one a little farther up, and that was a complete waste of points, but sometimes that's as it happens. I was thinking maybe now I might be able to shoot this small gap, but Tomato's defending against it very well, and he probably knows, you know, from my side of the field, if I can get in here, I can give him a really hard time moving through the backwoods, moving through these sides, and getting some specialist teams up farther up, maybe in these woods here, and they get field of vision all up to, you know, the woods here and town there. And that's area denial, so, you know, that's what you want. But that has finally been counter-capped, which means that my opponents are at a +1 ticking again. And we do have 28 minutes left in the game, so we're going to speed things back up to 2 and just take a look. So Grimm's trying to push forward. MI-17s are getting some very nice covering fire there. There is another attempt by the South African player to push this town, and this is where it's becoming a bit ill-advised. That's just sort of wasted points on his end with the inflicts and the Caspian K-cars. WZs were trying to just maybe kill the frog. I don't know. It was... Yeah, I think I decided they were going to get shelled and probably killed. In fact, yeah, you can see that they're very nearly killed right then. So I may as well try and get a couple of guns onto the frog, but an H.A. Abrams is going to be saying, oh, hell no, to that, and there's not really much I can do. And this T90S really hasn't been that worthwhile either, so not really a great buy there. And, okay, Helos is finally engaging over on the right-hand side. This was a very nice play. So Motostrelki moving up, BTRT moving up, Sepri and Motostrelki 90, so pretty good anti-tank from the Motostrelki 90, I think anyway, yeah, 24 AP, just not high range, and nice artillery and covering fire pushing into the far end of that zone, also some bombing support, and I was pretty convinced this was going to succeed, so I actually want to see how this goes down. Bombing runs, very nice, probably hitting and killing, or at least panicking. Actually, I want to see that. Yeah, Panzerkampfwagen and Leopard 2, but it does look like we either just capped it, or yeah, we just capped it, so I have a command vehicle over there. I kind of decided, you know what, if I can't hold my end, I may as well help my opponents do some of their pushes, so I was trying to secure that and allow Helos to focus just on, you know, getting things on the board and getting things moving forward. But it looks like a Panther, a Leopard 2A1 are kind of preventing Helos from moving any farther, and the Razvedka may or may not be able to get forward, but the T-72A here is spotted, and that's a 55-point tank, sure, but we still don't want it to die. Leopard 2A1 moving forward, and, sparring with T-55. Swing and a miss, Leopard 2A1 retreating, and then thinking better of it when he realizes it's just a tiny thing. AMX-10 RCs coming up, taking care of that, and then Sepri are not the right answer to a Leopard 2A1, and the Motostrelki 90 don't have the range, so this gap is surprisingly difficult to deal with sometimes. In the meantime, an H.A. Abrams is moving up, my ally's M84 is up here, and my T-90S did get a couple nice shots in, not on the H.A. Abrams, but on other tanks nearby. I think we killed a couple of Ruakats that were supporting him, and maybe got some damage, yeah, a single point of damage on the Wargame from my ATGM team before they were killed. But more shelling coming in, and we can see now there's more movement on this side. It looks like Tomato probably wants to do a push across here, and I was aware of SASF over there at that point. They had fired into some of my helicopters. Z9A and... oh, no, I don't have the T-190 out yet, but that is coming soon. And at this point I was thinking, okay, well, really what we'd like to do is we'd like to get up to this town. Yeah, okay, there's the SF-90 there as well. Might draw a bombing run, might draw mortar fire, might draw nothing. I don't really remember at this point. But this I did see. So there's a Ruakat there, and I have a Feebal coming out to shoot the Ruakat, Helo Hunter coming out to kill the XTP-1 Beta, but the Helo Hunter is stunned, still able to kill the Beta, but evac ordered on both, and that at least was nice. So Red Dragon's planes continue to be something that I feel relatively comfortable with, but I think my on-the-ground work needs some reconsideration. So I'm going to take a look at that deck later on today. If you guys have recommendations for it, just in the general sense, don't be afraid to leave those for me. I may not always agree, but I mean, the Blue Dragons deck thoughts video that just went up, I've already made some changes there. I think all but one, actually. I like the Mistral teams for their higher strength as opposed to the PSAM teams. But yeah, so sparring ongoing in Feder, and it looks like Helo's stuff is kind of taking a bit of a beating. Plane actually going down there, getting a little bit too far forward, but trying to take out that PDH-2 Tiger. If I'd seen it was there, I could have gone after it with the Helo Hunter. I frankly just didn't. So, a bit of a mistake in communication, and I was worried enough about a push through here by a bunch of angry Ruakats that we have some scout tanks there, and Nighthawk fortunately is taken down by a Neva Mitt, which is very nice. We also have an HQ-7 moving up, and this was unwise. So I thought, well, okay, I put these guys up here to be defensive, but maybe this will be something that I could use to get back into this game. And right when I saw those Ruakats, I should have retreated, but I thought the ZTQs could handle them, and as it turns out, line of sight here is a little bit tricky. So they're shooting in at the SASF, but the Ruakats are beneath this ridge. They can't actually be seen, which means that when they do engage, they're going to be engaging super close, very high AP, and my guys are still shooting at SASF, getting too close to the ridge. There's the aim from the Ruakats, and 1-2. Yeah, that was really not what I wanted to see, because if I'd gotten the first shot, my ZTQs almost certainly could have gotten the kills. These guys have very paper-thin armor, 3 frontal armor, but they didn't, because I was distracted. My troops were distracted by SASF. They didn't even manage to kill back there, and that could have been good and really didn't end up being all of that great of an engagement. In the meantime, Rangers pushing up, and they probably will die. This is interesting, right? Because this is forces from Timur. So on this one side, we've seen forces from Timur, we've seen forces from Artemis, and from Tomato. So all three of them have some stuff over here, and it's pretty thick. This is well defended, this is well defended. The center is also pretty well defended, so a lot of Rifleman 90, Delta Force, Chaparrals, maybe a little farther forward with the Chaparrals than I would put them, but I guess they don't have that great range, and they have seen pretty good use, only 5 missiles remaining there, and really the roughest part for our opponent was this side, but this is well defended around the end, so reservists just spotting more reservists, AMXs, and I don't know, we quite possibly could have pushed here, but he loses strat a couple times with well-organized pushes, and the amount of fire support behind it, particularly with these Panthers here from Artemis, and some direct fire support like the Leopard 2A1, are just difficult to deal with. So, I don't know, I think it was definitely in our favor on that side, but we're just losing harder over here than they are over there. T90S moving up, and unfortunately, here comes a longbow. There goes the T90. He didn't even get, I think, a single kill this entire game, so a bit of a waste there. And I guess I would have been better off with more ATGM teams, because they would be having these Abrams for a snack right now, and instead the Abrams are just bullying right through. Helo Hunter is coming in, and I do get something, but taken down by enemy ASFs, and this is starting to look really bad. So in terms of points, 45 for them to 41 for us is not unrecoverable in and of itself, but if we lose Boris for good, then that's pretty much going to be game over. Rifleman 90 getting a good engagement. I don't really know why the Abrams is being so cagey, but he's quite possibly trying to stay out of range of anything in that town, because there are some longer range options that could have given him a bad day. Enemy planes now coming in, and I decided, again, if I'm doing really horribly over there, maybe at least my support in other sides can make the difference, and we did actually just get the Panzerkampfwagen command vehicle over on this side, so Helos was able to get that with Motorstroke E90. Fuck Panzer Gepard routing a freaking BMPT is ridiculous. But for right now, Feder is in our control, which gives us a +1, as we still do have Boris countercaps, although not forever, but for right now, and a whole bunch of bombers. Mirage Faiz is coming in, answered by Su-27 SKs, and we do get a Cheetah D. We're trying to go after one of the Mirages, missiles on the way, and actually a kill there as well. So we're making their bombing runs pretty costly. Reservists now moving forward, and a BMPT should be able to handle that without any trouble at all, but Sepri are not equipped to handle a VAB. The Motostrelki have been killed by that bombing run, and it was pretty devastating. Look, T-72 over here, I think one of them is dead in those woods. This position's pretty hollowed out, and there's still enemy troops, even some all the way through here. Fallschirmjäger 90 from Artemis on that side, and that's going to be really difficult to deal with. In the meantime, Rifleman 90 have completely cleared out the section, so my units and Grim's units both taking it on the chin, and my Legion wanted to get into that woods, but I couldn't get them up there in their transports because of the enemy longbow. Fortunately, identified shot, ammo box hit, so the Hellfire should be gone from him now. Not that that was around long enough for me to notice, but Strop 2 trying to get that kill, not quite able to do it, which is kind of catastrophic. And here comes a big push. So Tomato is just throwing everything at the wall now. East of Arc's moving up, pair of Pathfinders, Ruakots. I only have Li Ren and a couple of supporting elements from Grim. The Droog teams will do very nicely, so oof, swing and a miss, but looks like direct fire from an M91 Vhor is enough to defend there. And a couple of marked, so defense here because they had troops moving through. My ZZZs trying to get out of dodge there. And a couple bombers coming in. Let's see what they can do. I think there was a napalm bomber. Ooh, where are those bombs? Yes. Trying to deny that push, but SASF are already up and forward into the town. There's a Buffle shooting at my command infantry here. And the Li Ren and the command infantry are not going to be enough to get that done. In the meantime, my reinforcements, the Hwasong Chung and Bo Chung Su, intercepted by Rifleman 90, which is a cheap intercept for this. I mean, lots of Bo Chung Su, way more force here than they have, but if I can't kill them quickly, it's not going to matter. And more importantly, they're not up in time to help. My Legion should have been up here, would have been able to protect these guys a little bit better, but command infantry are killed, and this section's entirely gone. B5 bomber, I was curious how this did. So, of course, it is lost now, but let's see. Do I even get anything with this? Maybe a Samuel 50. Okay, I mean, we killed a lot of SASF and some Parapathfinders, so at least it wasn't for nothing, but still, no kills. Logam now opening up on my Hwasong Chang, who have been in the open for way too long. Artillery coming in as well. Super Gallop kind of saving the day there, so nice support from Grim in that case. And I don't know, I mean, I was thinking, well, maybe I can set up some sort of defense in these woods and these woods, and then if we can hold on to Feder. But Feder has been pushed back, so there's only an Igla team over here now. We've lost control of the town in the rear section because the blue 4 players have pushed around and through on the side, although only Fallschirmjäger 90, but again, Fallschirmjäger 90. Yeah, so just looking at the board presence, you can see up there in the minimap as well, we're on our quarter, well, our half of the field everywhere. They've pushed through. It's not, this line is not halfway through. It's on our side, not theirs, which means they have way better map control and probably more units, I'd say, as well. So definitely more over here. And I guess this is, yeah, it's still a little bit in their favor, I'd say, in terms of sheer numbers on that side as well. But I did promise you guys this game will end in a pretty crazy method, so that is still forthcoming. And we do finally have infantry in the woods here, maybe able to take on some of those Riflemen 90. And of course, SASF fighting against Legion 90 will not have a great day, so these guys are finally able to get forward. Supported by artillery, they should do alright, and those napalm launchers against SASF snipers is always going to be a good thing. Super Gallop coming in, getting a kill. Would have loved to have killed that H.A. Abrams. Of course, it wasn't my plane, but you know. PTZ 89 going to be kind of struggling there, and the H.A. Abrams is going to be able to take him down. We finally do get the last man in that Rangers team, which at least denies them some recon. And, well, I wouldn't say that we're holding, but we're not yet completely crumpling. ZZZ is back here and in the open, which is not good, but I didn't want to get into this town until it had been really thoroughly cleared out. Probably should be moving him now. Smoke coming in, trying to protect that position, so very nice there. And another B5 bomber, and this was... So there's SASF, there's an Inflict, let's see how this does. The SASF moved out of the way, Inflict almost moving out of the way. We did kill an Inflict team, but not really worth it. Another T-90S just coming out, trying to scare away these tanks for right now, but he's going to have to be retreating really quickly, or a Peace Shrine is going to be an answer to him, or a Longbow could be an answer to him very, very quickly. Meanwhile, Frogs moving in, and this is dastardly, so the Frogs are just spotting, and then the other units back there are getting kills, because these guys only have a minigun, but all they need to do is mark targets by existing, and then those targets can be shot at by things like the M1A2 Abrams farther back. So we are able to cap here again, and I guess a bit of a predictable position because my ZZZ is getting absolutely pounded by a howitzer, but able to survive that. TY-90 destroyed on this side, and now we have the Fierce Tomato himself, this South African player, moving up, trying to get some infantry reinforcements to block that off, but my command tank here was lost. We've lost Feder. We are taking out a +2, and this was the weird thing. So, command vehicle back here was just shelled by Grim. So that does force our opponents to spend for that, which is nice, because they're definitely up on points by quite a bit now. But, I mean, temporary loss of map control, right? So I think they were actually moving the CV from Boris back to Anna. I'm not really sure, but for right now we have a +2. We're actually up on points, 170 to 106, and there's only 10 minutes left in the game. So this is Conquest played kind of like Destruction at the moment, where we're just trying to turtle and hold out. But a Ruakat getting back behind our lines here, able to kill my T-90S with a rear shot, which really pissed me off. Like, cannot believe how much that pissed me off. That was sort of the bone-crushing blow where I was sitting there going, okay. Okay. That was supposed to protect against an H.A. Abrams and would have been able to. It was supposed to protect against a tank push, would have been able to, and instead, 170 points killed by 50. Enemy Prowler coming in, and I don't think I was quite able to turn off the guns on my radar piece. It looks like one shot going in, second shot, both misses. Better lucky than good, I suppose, but luck is about all I have left. My infantry that was supposed to be blocking here too late to really do anything there, and plane response too late to handle those guys. Also evacing when I would love for them to be 2-on-1ing this Rafale, so we could maybe have gotten some revenge there, but at least they don't get any kills this time around. And Anna has been recapped, now so has Boris, and that means that our opponents are ticking at a +1. They are behind by almost 60 points, but if they can deal with that soon, if they can cap Feder, we're going to be at a +2 for long enough. And even if they just maintain the +1, 9 minutes left at a +1 will be more than enough for them to win this game. So they probably were feeling pretty good at this point. There's an ATGM team now up in these towns here firing on my position, and that means that this place is about to get pushed as well. So let's go back to +2 for just a moment. I'm trying to pad this out with more infantry. You can see Tanka Shashao and WZs, both very decent ambushers because the ATGMs, well, not ATGMs, the autocannons from the WZs are of course kinetic, so they shoot even better at close range. B5 bomber coming in, trying to support, and I couldn't even spell at this point. I lose the B5, but we do get a very nice bombing run there, able to flatten a fair number of enemy units, and oh, not quite able to get the Rafale or Mirage either, but I mean, this allows these BMPTs to move forward unopposed until right there, and yep, tank shots. So yeah, that bombing run allows these BMTTs forward. That was a very nice thing, and we suspected there were command vehicles in that corner. If we switch back to neutral for just a second, there actually are two. So there's an M114A1 from Timur, and there's also a Leopard 2 from Artemis. And yeah, Leopard 2A1, single points of health left, killing one of the BMPTs, and the other one killed by Legion 90 with a rear shot off of that wonderful Eric's that they have. So not quite able to push this position as it stands. And yeah, so I don't know, things are looking pretty grim, no pun intended, but 156 points for our opponents, 178 for us. Super Gallop coming in does finish off that heavy tank, and Motostrelki just trying desperately to do anything they can to take out the enemy command vehicles that we know where they are. We just can't hit them. My own force is being attacked now. Some units threading through these woods. ZTS is sparring with HA Abrams, but that's not going to be a winning fight, even with support. And there is smoke from the enemy team trying to protect their own tanks. My ZTSs do get killed. And yeah, some shots on the Prowler, but not quite enough. Actually, yeah, we did take it down. Very nice. But my Su-27 SKs probably evac before they should have been. Could have gone after that Peace Rhine and tried to save my ally a bit of pain. He does get taken down, though. That's pretty nice. And now I am going to be dropping infantry on this side, just trying to... Fetter is basically make or break right now. We either cap it ourselves and get a +1 from it, or we lose. T-72 is forward enough that I felt good about that. I mean, okay, right as I say that, he does get taken down by an ATGM, but if these Motostrelki can secure the forward town, there's very little way that this section can hold. Bombing run coming in from Helos, and I don't remember if this is cluster. It doesn't look like it's... Actually, yeah, it was. Very nice. And definitely a lot of damage coming in there, so I think... Did that actually kill them both? No, so the Panzerkampfwagen Leopard 2 moves back with a single point of health left, and this hold is going to be temporary, but it does make things 0-0 again. We're behind by 2 points. 2 points! Oh, goodness gracious sakes alive. And these help markers were because now there were enemy troops that were all the way forward threatening the BMP-1K. That was control of our home zone in Elena. And this is, again, bad plays on my part. I was trying to support over in Fetter with Legion 90. That should have been making sure that we didn't get our home zone pushed. So, whew. Anyway, some base defense coming in, just PGZ-95s trying to fend off helicopters, also a TY-90. Trying to fend off helicopters, and we should have some infantry coming up real soon as well. And the Legion are ambushed by AMX-13s, which 3 frontal armor is going to be really hard for the Legion 90 to kill. I was hoping the Z9As and the Mi-24P would be able to help, and they certainly do. But PH2 Tiger is going to be making life hard for the Z9As. Fallschirmjäger engaged by Sapri and BTRTs, and again by the Mi-24P, so this is looking okay. But it is somehow countercapped once again. If we go to neutral, that's because this Leopard 2 with 1 health is back in the corner of that zone, and, well, I guess moving out of it again now, but it was just enough. Su-27 SK trying to go in after the PH2 Tiger and just getting eviscerated. It's not one of the Helo Hunters, and I shouldn't have tried to use it like that in such a dive, but Tanka Shashao getting worn through, this forward position also getting pushed by Rifleman 90. Not that that's even necessary if they move through the woods, which they're currently trying to do. And this was probably a bit of a questionable CV location, but I can hardly criticize that this game after all. We did get another kill on one of their planes, and Legion 90 just run into tanks. It's not what they're meant to fight, it's not what they can fight, and they're just going to get stunned and killed. And I might actually take these guys out of the deck. As good as they are against infantry, I tend to find that they just get wrecked by any sort of armor and don't tend to make their points up unless it's a predictable thing. So This is the end of the game that I promised you guys. If we take a look at neutral, something kind of interesting happened. There was a shift by our opponents over to this side of the field. They have tons of stuff through here. Tons of stuff through Boris, coming at us through the woods to Elena as well. But that actually was shifted over from their center defense. Because Grim had been so static here for so long trying to help me out in Boris, they sort of moved stuff away. They were like, okay, let's concentrate our forces. There's not going to be a big engagement here. And now, finally, there is. So, hey, there's some potential here, because Anna, again, is more valuable than Boris, it's more valuable than Feder, and we have now capped Feder as well. Hilo is able to get that, even just for right now, once again, and 188 points for our opponents, 178 for us, and yeah, we're not going to be able to stop this. There's too much here. Ruakot 76s. My anti-helicopter defense is the wrong choice here, and it certainly is going to be making us suffer for it. But Grim is pushing forward, that longbow crushing his forward advance, M84A taken out, but a rush by Gamma 2s. Should be able to get revenge there. One hit, two hits, down he goes. The command infantry in the back, just a single point of strength there. Another Vihor lost for Grim. And if we take a look, Buffalo CV identified, shot by the Gammas, and yeah, this is a bit of a cheap helo rush, but it wouldn't have gotten through if there was more stuff here and able to defend against it. But there's the kill. Anna's decapped. We're taking out a +1 because Feder is still, for the second, held. And yeah, I mean, this is all we need. We're 8 points down, and if Grim can hold on here for another minute and 13 seconds, we're fine. M91 Vihor leading the way, a couple of Gammas sparring with a DAP, which is not going to end well for them, but artillery coming in for me as well. I was shooting for where I suspected their CV was, and if we look, it's actually pretty close. I was shooting farther back, but if I had moved up just a little bit, I would have been able to get that guy. Not quite. But Vihor leading the way, a couple of trucks back here as well. Oates giving fire support, and we've now lost Elena, so Ruakots and Ruakot ZA-35s moving up, killing all of our artillery, resupplying helicopters, decapping Elena, but we still have that +1. 188 points to their 190, 189, 35 seconds left in the match, and is just barely enough to edge us over. 194 to 192, and we end the game 196 to 192. This was a hellish game that made me really rethink the things that I thought were going well using the Red Dragons Coalition, because I definitely don't understand that deck as well as I thought I did, or at least maybe it's fair to say that that deck would struggle against a South African push like it did, but I don't know if that's me shifting the blame onto the deck and the units as opposed to the decisions that I made at the start. So any feedback there is of course more than welcome. My own KD was kind of pathetic, 3,172 kills, 4,605 losses, and the only one to go positive on our team was Grim. Even I Hate Helos had some trouble in that regard, and it was just enough. The game was, of course, technically a draw. Within a couple of points is not enough for a win or a loss on either side. So very well fought to our opponents there. Artemis was really nice. Fierce Tomato, also a pretty good KD there, and I guess we fought him pretty okay. By we, I mean Grim's defense sort of crumpled Tomato's follow-up pushes, and some of those were maybe not super wise, but about the only unit I had that really did well was the first Helo Hunter. We did kill a fair number of SASF, and decently expensive Helos. The Beta 87 I think is 70 points, so this did definitely pay for himself, but he's about the only one. The Fibao didn't get close. Lee Ren probably did, SF 90 and Inflicts, but yeah, I don't know. This was a really rough game. Oh, okay. SU-27SK did very well. How many planes is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planes and a helicopter, but I did end up throwing that plane away at the end, so not a lot of success there. I don't know. That was rough. I wanted to share it with you guys just because, as rough as it was a lot of fun as well, and I think it's also good to remember, don't have to win to have fun. Sometimes just seeing somebody wreck you so thoroughly, you can just sit back and go, okay, that was a good push. Yeah, I was on the receiving end, but that was a good push. So that's all we've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.